Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales. We make atmospheric tabletop role playing games and stream them for you here on the internet. And this is Symbaroum, not just Symbaroum, but probably the penultimate episode of our Wrath of the Warden story. And by that, I mean Fria Ligan's Wrath of the Warden story, because it is part of their huge Throne of Thorns Symbaroum campaign, which we've been running and enjoying for quite some time now. Probably, maybe clocking on for a year, maybe something like that. 2/3 of a year, something. Yeah. So hi, happy to have you. We'll do some boring promo first. If you check down below, you will see that there are links to YouTube and Twitch. You're watching this on one, please do check out the other. If you feel like it, follow and subscribe and the bell and the thing and all that stuff. There's also links to our social media, to Discord, to Patreon. Those all do what you might expect them to do. At the moment, we run 2 weekly shows in the evening. Well, evening depends where you are, I suppose. But for us, we run them at 8 o'clock BST. Shadows of Estrin is on Monday, and Symbaroum is the thing on Wednesdays. We also have another series that's on hiatus and will be returning on Thursdays in May. And in addition to that, we also run one-shots monthly. Up till now, they've kind of been on the first weekend of every month, but we've kind of fallen off that wagon a bit. The most recent one was Tales from the Loop, which is very good, if I do say so myself, and you can check that out in its entirety on YouTube now. And the next one coming up will be one run by the wonderful Spooky Johnny, and that will be in a couple of weeks' time, I think on Easter weekend, which for those of you who that might not matter to, I believe is the weekend of the 16th of April, and that's going to be Call of Cthulhu in Space. Yes, a return of that. There was a little mini series of it towards the end of last year, and we are returning to that spooky, spacey world. So check out that when it happens. But that's enough of that nonsense promo, and let's start bringing on the players and doing the recaps from last time. I don't think there's too much to talk about, but we'll see, and then we'll crack on with this exciting climax to the story. John, first one's John. Let's bring on John. It's John. Hi, John.
Hello.
John plays Sir Arindar, the last scion of House Dar, kind of naive heir to the Dar name, and bold adventurer too. Probably. It's a great write-up.
Fairly bold.
Wonderful bio.
He's also got a cat.
He's also got a cat. Big fearsome cat. John, tell us how we kicked off last week.
Well, we kicked off in the howling rain and a terrible storm, heading over to Nighthome to see Mayor Nightpitch, along with the 2 watch captains that were had told us this is the direction we're going in, and we were not in the place to argue. Decamado and Marvello,
yeah.
Marvello had words with the guards at the front gate. We were told there was a party and they were accepting no guests that weren't invited. Words were exchanged and we were let in. We met a very friendly noble called Agramai Kalfos, who is basically the sanitation officer of the city, who was very friendly, and it was a bit weird, but it was fine. We eventually managed to talk to Nightpitch off in a private room, informed him about the cult in the city. He very exasperatedly and quite sickly told us to go deal with it, but very, very quietly and without anyone else knowing about it. But we could obviously bring in people that we
public knowing about it. Yeah.
Yes. There were also a number of looks exchanged between him and his witch, Yagaba, of maybe him looking to her for cues, whether that's to do with because it was something to do with the forest, or whether there's like a a different power dynamic there than the city expects there to be. We don't know, but whatever, we were told to go and deal with it.
Absolutely. And at that point, you split the party up. Always a good idea to go talk to various different allies you'd met along the way. So it did have a purpose to it. You know, you weren't just wandering off into danger by yourselves for no reason. And one of the first places we visited was the Ordo Magica, and that is where we found Chris going. Chris, aka Stio, former infantryman turned sellsword, all-round elderly curmudgeon. How did that go for Stio, Chris?
So, it being quite late, I banged on the door and got the attention of an aide. And I can't quite recall, because normally the answer you get from the Ordo Magica is immediately no. But I think I name dropped the fact that Night Pitch was involved with our quest to round up people for a cult in town, and managed to get a chance to speak to Cornelio, the master of masters in Thistlehold, in the Thistlehold chantry, I suppose. So we got taken up the long and winding staircase up the tall building of the Ordo Magica's office slash university, I suppose, and got into a room with Cornelio and Furia doing work, and I made my case to Cornelio that this is obviously a thing which we should get involved in, and I made it pretty clear that the Ordo Magica, there's probably going to be some things that they might be interested in taking a look at, and to which he retorted, yes, you'll probably bring them to us regardless. Also, we're too busy, go away. So I, realizing that trying to change the mind of a mage is futile, I gave some kind of stage whispered hints, as there were two people in the room, that maybe something Furia might be interested in, given it's going to be a massive ruckus. And I believe Furia is quite the itchy trigger finger in terms of his flamey friends.
Certainly has seemed to be so far in your interactions with him, yeah.
But I was so basically Cornelio told me to go away. I went away, but behind me slithered down the stairs Cornelio, saying he was going to come along, and we were very glad for his assistance.
Or Furia, rather.
Furia.
Cornelia.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, Cornelio said no.
Yes. Absolutely.
No, as they call him.
Yeah, they do call him that all the time. So we'll next pop in to see where Sam went. Sam actually went somewhere with Stephen as well. But Sam, why don't you tell us where Ascarai, our resident changeling scout and archer, went to recruit a couple more friends?
So Ascarai and Alindra had a bit of a double header. He went first to the kind of, what is it, the Treasure Hunters Agency or
Mother Mahira's agency, yeah.
To look for Erfon's, kind of just on the off chance he was there. He's one of the best fighters I think we've come across, and has been a good friend. And luckily we found him there, and basically the only thing he needed to be convinced to come with us was telling him that these cultists seemed to be similar in many ways to the ones that we'd found in the basement of Eric's house. And he was convinced and picked up his sword and came along with us.
Yeah, I believe he was the one to find the rather grotesque cadavers down there.
Yeah,
and certainly seemed to jump at the chance to punish anyone who do similar things.
Yeah, good old Erfons, always reliable. And then we headed out the north gate, I think, to meet with the witches, who we know are still kind of hanging around from the very beginning of this arc. We did, as we were sort of working out, Ascarai and Alindra between them realized that they probably didn't speak any languages that the witches also spoke. But after a few tries in the two languages that we knew with no success, we sort of managed to signal to them, please come and help us, and please leave your giant mounts out here. and they sort of got the message and decided to come in with us, and we met with the guard at the north gate and headed towards our meeting point, I think.
Absolutely. And then one final stop within Thistlehold, one final ally to call on, and what an ally it is. Let's have that info from Mike. Mike plays Antom, Theurg of Prios, and possessor of the latest, and some are saying best, new character art. Mike, how did Antom's evening go?
Well, I went to go and get Lightbringer. Well, I didn't go to get Lightbringer. There we go. 10 seconds into the recap, and I fucked it already.
Now you know
I didn't
how
go
I
to get
feel at the start
Lightbringer.
of every stream. Mike.
I went to go and tell Lightbringer what we're doing and to ask for help from the church. I told her exactly what was going on. She kindly provided 3 initiates, I want to say novices, from the Sun Temple to help us. And they were a little bit, I guess, sort of slightly distrustful of me to begin with. And maybe, who knows, will remain that way. But like, they respect Lightbringer and they can see that I have an massive relationship with Lightbringer. So they are on board for the big rumble.
Absolutely, and they came pre-warned. Basically, Desaber, the Lightbringer, had said, you might see some things there that may challenge your faith, i.e., witches fighting alongside you, but had kind of prepped them for that. And then, speaking of fighting alongside people, and where we ended up at the end of last stream, let's bring on our final player, Stephen. Stephen plays Elindra, former Templar recruit turned sword for hire. Stephen, how did we wrap up last time on our way to the Tannery, where where Alaba's cult has been lurking?
Yeah, so we convene at the Tannery, a very subtle, I think, force of about 15 assorted psychopaths. And we really had a very sort of strong and well thought out plan going in, which was pretty much go in. I think that was the extent of it, really. There were some guards outside that, I think we initially had a thought of maybe we could just kind of show up in overwhelming numbers and persuade them that it's just really not their night and get in quietly. The guards had other ideas, so we went in somewhat noisily. But fairly quickly, I think, and then bolted the doors from the inside. The inside of the Tannery was a tannery. There were vats of chemicals, and there were gantries, and there were back offices, and the place was absolutely crawling with cultists, who we know from experience are not really generally in the mood to be reasoned with. So I think we pretty much just sort of formed up and started laying into them.
Yeah, the entire group, accompanied by Furia of the Order Magica, 3 novice Theurgs, 2 witches, Earthons, the goblin glittering silver wheel of death, and a group of city guards led by Marvello and Decamedo, poured into the entrance to the Tannery, and violence began very, very swiftly. And we pick up after our first round of combat, I think. And I think I have all the details right about where we are, but we'll find out. If you're binge watching this back to back, you can leave a comment and tell us what we forgot. Or don't. That's fine too. So just to remind ourselves of the layout here is the ground level of the Tannery. You have come in at the bottom bit here by the doors, and you're now kind of like spread out, not in a particularly coherent line, essentially around here, with, I think, Ascarai is probably lurking back near the door here, but all the other 3 of you are probably around here. The city guard have formed something of a line here and are pushing forwards. Decamedo has scrambled up here and is attacking the crossbowman. Furia is mounting these steps and setting quite a few cultists on fire. The Theurgs are back near the door, and Earthons has run this way and already carved his way through a couple of cultists. So let's bring up that initiative list, please, John. Do we want to? Does the map help people? Do we want to keep that up? I am just aware that if we keep the map up, it blocks Stephen's cam
I
completely.
just try. Oh, that kind of
Ooh.
blocks the image, but
And specifically the bit of the image that you're in.
that's exciting.
But that's okay. We don't necessarily need to see that because we know that it's just an open area with a door that you're lurking by. I wonder if I could even let me try and. I thought maybe I could zoom out further and move it up, but no.
You just need Chris and Sam to sort of lean to the
Yeah.
side.
It'd be awesome if we could have an arrangement. If you're watching StreamYard where there were half on one side and half on the other side, that would be very useful. This is good though. I think this is the best compromise, right? So, with background where we were, just to give a quick description of where everyone is in regards to being attacked by cultists. Elindra, you have 2 cultists attacking you directly in close combat with you. Anton is flanking behind one of them. Steo, you're defending yourself off 2 of them, both of which I think have now made their way through your kind of proddy keep away guard. That ability. And Arindar, you are also defending yourself against 1 cultist. And Askarai is not involved with them at all. He's stood back. I would say that at this point, I am going to roll a die, and there are more cultists kind of coming up from the stairs and coming out of those back rooms. The ones labeled 1 and 2 there, but there's a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of different foes for them to dash towards, and you can see one of them coming up on that central platform and sees kind of your group fighting and starts to make your way towards you. So there is another cultist who's going to engage you in some form this round, but only one of them. So with that in mind, let's have Askarai.
Okay, I think I'm going to take a shot at maybe one of the ones fighting Steo. Just has got
Are you
2.
going to take your armor penetrating shot, or are you going to take a double shot?
It's tricky. Do they look like they have much armor when I'm looking?
I'll tell you right now, they certainly do not. They've got maybe very, very basic leather clothing, so it does provide some armor, but not too much.
In that case, I think I'll go for my double shot then.
That seems like a practical solution. And John has asked, didn't we also hear something that also implied a time limit? Yes, some cultists at the back of the tannery had howled, give the master time. So yes.
Okay.
So Askarai, sorry, which ones are you going to shoot at?
I'm going to start off shooting one of the ones fighting Steo. That's the plan.
Okay. One looks a bit more wounded than the other. Maybe that one, or
yeah, I'll try and take one out. Sounds good. What is
the defense is +1.
Okay, I need a 16. I rolled a 20.
What a great start. What a great start.
Just when you thought it was the penultimate episode.
Just getting out of the way early so that when the lava shows up.
That technically means they get a free attack on you, right? But they can't because they're in melee.
The last time this happened, I do recall it meant that I ended up taking an arrow to the chin.
Taking an arrow. Yeah.
I think that was because the guy had an ability, though.
I think that's true. That was the black cloak, wasn't it?
I think this is like... Ooh, someone mentioned something about this in chat last time it happened. Because once it happened, you were like, well, nothing happens because there's no, you can't counter. And someone suggested, something goes wrong with the bow, or you fumble your arrow or something.
Okay.
There is a guy with a crossbow.
There are people with crossbows. You know what? Yeah, let's just do that. It doesn't have to be the person you fire at, right? Let's just say that Askarai has stepped forward and made himself too visible. Kind of thing is just standing there, drawing his bow heroically. Let's say you take a shot from the ones up on the side with I think they're with crossbows. So yeah, let's do that. So give me a defense roll, please. Let me just check their stat a second. Yeah, I thought they were. Their stats are baseline, so just a normal defense roll.
Okay, my defense is 15. I rolled a 12. So I made it.
Okay. A crossbow bolt goes whistling past your body, and you hear it splinter into the ground beside you. I take it you're trying again with a second shot at that guy.
Yeah, I might
Maybe
look
maybe
bit gingerly at
moving back into the shadows a bit more as you do so.
yeah, just maybe a little duck back, but then try and redeem myself a little bit. At least I didn't use my one shot, so I didn't completely waste my round. Okay, I rolled a 12 on my second shot.
There we go. Do you want to roll some damage for us, please?
Damage is a D10 plus 1. I rolled a 5 plus 1 is 6.
Okay, 5 plus 1 is 6. Steo, one of the two cultists howling and slashing at you in front of you. You see a familiarly fletched arrow suddenly emerge from their right at their collarbone near their neck, and they reel backwards with a kind of involuntary gasp of pain, and they're still kind of staggering towards you, but they really look like they're on their last legs now. So there we go. Elindra, as I said, you have two facing you. One is fresh as a daisy, the other one's a bit wounded, and the wounded one has a priest lurking behind them. I think, Elindra, that you're the furthest forward. I would say that let's say you're at the base of these steps up to that central platform.
I do dimly recall right at the end saying that I was planning to push forwards towards those rooms at the back. So
yeah, I think that's appropriate. I think you are like the vanguard of this little group, you know?
Okay. So am I flanked by either of them? Like if I'm outnumbered, or like
think you are. I think we have like an informal arrangement that the first time someone engages you and you're already engaged, they can get a flank shot fairly easily. But the next turn, I think we have a thing that you can face two human-sized opponents at once, so you can like turn and not be flanked by them.
I guess this is also made more complex by the fact that one of them is kind of being flanked themselves by
Anton sort of thing. So
I'm going to trust in Anton's combat abilities to finish off the injured one, and I am going to
good luck.
Yeah, and I'm going at the one in front of me. I can't remember from last session whether or not I had
where the Revenant Strike is
activated the Revenant Strike. I'm not sure that I had. It all happened quite quickly, didn't it?
I think you failed the Resolute roll. Is it a Resolute roll to start it?
No, it's one action and 1d4 temporary corruption.
Okay.
What does your corruption look like?
Yeah, what's your corruption like? I'll tell you, right?
Yeah, well, my corruption is 0, so no, I have not activated it, and I will not activate it this time because my action is to fight.
Yeah, no problem. So, yeah, it's an attack when their defense is +1.
Their defense is +1. I needed a 60, and then I got an 18.
Oh, dear.
It's going real good, folks.
This isn't going well. So, yeah.
Wait, but I can, if I... two-handed force. I can make a new attack roll which deals 1d8 damage if it hits. I can try and catch them on the backswing.
Yeah, go for it.
So let's do that. That's a 7, so that is a success.
It's a success.
I guess
D8's not to be sniffed at.
No, it's not bad. And I rolled a 7, so
it's pretty good. That is pretty good. So, and I just did I. No, that's fine. So the cultists, and you know what I'd say, because you're at the base of those stairs, they're kind of almost kind of, you feel like they're backing up those stairs slightly, like a step at a time, trying to get that height advantage on you. You swing out wildly to catch one of them, and they do a rather nimble, you don't think trained, just lucky, kind of double leap over your sword, and they look very pleased with themselves as they land, but less pleased as your backswing catches them across their front, and you don't cut them deeply, but they now have a kind of bleeding slash all up their torso, up to one shoulder, that they don't look happy, but they do barely seem to notice the pain. These cultists are made of sturdy stuff. Either that, or perhaps they've been imbibing in some sorcerous or medicative property that leads them to this murderous frenzy. Yeah. Anything with your movement action? I assume not.
Like, I guess push forward, but if there's somebody standing in front of me, I don't know how much I can really do that.
I could say you could try and start, you can try and bull them forward. I think that's something that's perfectly reasonable. So we could say that the combat progresses up those stairs.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and hassle them upwards.
Well, why don't you make a strong roll at a +1 then? Because their strong is 9. So
okay, I rolled a 1.
Oh,
nothing
nice.
if not wildly inconsistent tonight, right?
You know what I'm gonna do for that, Stephen, because that's fun. So you are pushing up those stairs, and look what's next to those stairs.
The big vat.
Yeah. You are kind of bullying your way up. The two other ones are kind of backing away from you. And Tommy, do you think you'd be following this fighting group up the stairs as you go?
Yeah, I would say so.
I think that's fine. We'll use up your movement action with that, but we'll say you're doing it as this is happening. So that seems fair, right? Yeah, Alindra, you move your way up. The one who you just slashed across the chest is kind of desperately backing away from you now. And with one heave forward, you don't necessarily push them as such, but with a kind of a slam of your sword that doesn't even really make contact with them. They just back away desperately to try and avoid taking your guard in their face. And as they do so, they lose their footing and tumble over the side of the platform there into that vat, which doesn't seem to be full of particularly virulent chemicals and acids in the same way those smaller baths are, but certainly has some kind of odd kind of thin, milky white liquid in it that seems to have a slightly viscous consistency to it, and they kind of just splash into that and start thrashing briefly as that milky white substance starts being cut through with swirls of crimson red. They're definitely drowning in there, and honestly, even if you wanted to help them, it would take a small rope to do so, because the sides of that vat are kind of smooth and copper, and they're just scrabbling and sinking down further beneath the horribleness.
Elindra does not want to help them.
I thought she might not, So there we go. That is one more cultist taken care of. Aaron, you are facing a single cultist who is a bit wounded.
First of all, I'm going to try and cut down the cultist in front of me.
Mm-hmm. So that's a defensive +1.
Okay. That is a... Why are you rolling so slowly? That is a hit with 5 damage.
Okay.
And then I'm
you
going
said that
to...
in a manner that there'd be something else.
No.
Okay.
My second thing is I'm going to try an acrobatics check. Do a quick roll to see if I can sneak past them.
So, so break engagement with them sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My target
is it opposed to their quick or anything? Or is it just your quick?
It just says against quick.
That's fine then.
So I think it's just mine.
Yeah. If it says that, it's just yours.
Is it a success if it's equal to?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Then that is a success. So I'm going to try and slip past this cultist and move on towards the back.
Okay, so in my head, you're more towards the left of the group. Does that kind of match up with where you are? So you're kind of sneaking around, if I can get over here. Yeah, so you're kind of sneaking maybe around this side, up here, further towards the back. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So what happens is, that cultist, kind of, you engage in a little bit of sort of sword play with them. They themselves have a short sword. And apologies, I can't remember the weapons I may or may not have described the individual cultists as having. That's fine. You get the better of them, manage to slash them across the eyes, and as blood is running in their face and they're backing away, trying to wipe it away with their free hand, you duck round them, nimbly and easily and start making your way. And I'd say in the course of one movement action, you'll probably be past the stairs here. Is that good for you?
Cool, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you can see that there are indeed a couple more. There are more cultists emerging, but the rate of them certainly seems to be thinning. And in the process of this, you've kind of moved past the city guard line now, kind of the fight that is happening there. And you can glance over and see Marvello is still holding the line along with a couple of stalwarts, but there's at least a couple of city guard kind of on the floor, rolling around under their shields, being battered and in at least one case, definitely being stabbed by a cultist. So the city guard are not completely without damage here in this fight.
Could
And
I
next, yeah,
also try and, if there's a cultist nearby, draw their attention?
I mean, there are lots of cultists nearby. What do you mean by draw? Are you trying to fight another cultist? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like maybe draw one off the guards.
That seems unlikely. They're engaged, they're fully in. You shouting isn't going to draw one of them away from the mortal combat they're having with someone.
Yeah, no, never mind then.
There are plenty of cultists coming up the stairs and out of the back ahead of you, though, if you want to engage one of them at some point, but you're not quite near enough to do that yet. So we've got the cultists to go now as well. And we'll start off with a shot from a crossbow, and that is going to strike a random one of you, or at least be aimed at a random one of you. And that random one of you is, in fact, Sir Arindar. So could you give me a standard defense roll, please, Aaron?
That is a success.
Okay. Clearly having drawn the attention of a couple of these crossbow-armed cultists by dashing forward from the general line of your group, you feel more than you hear or perceive otherwise a crossbow bolt whizzing past you and embedding in those left-hand stairs up to the platform next to you. Next, we will go to... so there's a cultist now still engaging Elindra and Anton. And I was going to randomize who they go for, but I think given the actions that have been taken this round, they'll go for Elindra. I feel like they're far more intimidated by seeing their companion knocked into the vat. So Elindra, can you give me a standard defense roll, please?
Yes, I can. That's a success. It may be faintly hilarious to mention at this point that because I now have two-handed finesse at the adept level, after a successful defense per turn, if I pass a strong test, I can push an enemy back a couple of meters.
Well then, make that strong test.
It's strong against their strong, so I don't know what that means in terms of modifiers.
That means it's plus one. Plus one. Yeah, they've only got strength of 9.
That tragically is a fail. Would have been good though, wouldn't it?
It would have been good. It would have been good. But still, they struck out at you and missed happily. So the next ones we've got is there's 2 attacks on Steo. So Steo, if you can give us 2 defense rolls, please. Just standard, no modifier.
Let's go. Oh, 1 failure and 1 success.
Okay. 1 armor roll then, please.
10.
Can never tell if he's waiting for the roll to happen or if we lost him.
I think he looks frozen.
He looks frozen, but you never know.
Oh, the suspense.
The suspense. Seems like Chris is frozen. So
I am back.
Oh, he's back.
So I can make that second armor roll, and I get a 3.
3, okay. You're kind of standing your ground, facing these 2 cultists who are battering away at you with a hatchet and a small flail. One of the sharp pieces of metal mounted to the end of that flail manages to whip just over kind of your neck coif and scratch a deep gore down the side of your neck. But that's only 1 toughness for a relatively light wound. And then I think the only other cultist we have now is this new one who has arrived, and that new one is running across that platform at the back towards the group in general, but they are not going to draw a weapon and pile into the combat. Instead, they are going to stand back and they are going to aim to leverage some kind of mystical power at the group. And that mystical power is, I'm going to say they're going to go for either Antom or Alindra because they're the ones like at that platform. And it's going to be aimed at Alindra. And it is going to be a mystical power called Bend Will. So
This
you
sounds
make
fun.
Can you make a resolute roll with no modifier, please?
Oh, well, I can try. Oh, that is a success, yeah.
That's very good. You feel for a moment, Alindra, something clawing at the far reaches of your mind. A shimmering darkness trying to seize control of you, and then using some of that mental fortitude that was taught to you when you were still a Templar, you slam down the walls of your of thought and consciousness, and it flickers away into nothing. You hear a snarled curse of frustration from further along the platform. And that's all for the cultists, I think. So not a very successful round for them.
Can I check a thing?
Yep.
My Sword Saint doesn't specify that it only riposts against melee attacks, but riposting against a ranged attack makes no sense, right?
Correct. Yes, you
Very
cannot hit bolts back at enemies.
Yeah, no, that
You are not a
makes sense.
Jedi. No, that's
Damn
fine.
it.
So Steo, you are facing two opponents. One seems at death's door, and one is hardly touched. What are you going to do with them?
Which one is the asshole with the flail?
I'll roll a die and see, shall I? It is the one that's at death's door.
Okay, well let's finish him off then. I assume it's just flat with these guys.
It's +1. All their defenses are +1.
Great. Oh, that's a great success. And now that's a D10 +1. Oh, 11.
And you only needed 1. Well, technically you needed 3. But yeah. Enraged by the flail, you managed to sort of flick the base of your spear round and trip them over and kind of bash the other one away with a swift kind of haft to the nose. Then you spin that spear round and sink it into it's soft flesh at first at the back of the sprawling cultist's neck, and with a sickening crunch, you punch the blade of your spear through the back of their skull into the floor. A brief glance tells you they're definitely dead, as you can see the tip of your brazen weapon coming out of their mouth and into the floor underneath. So they're dead.
Oof. Take that, you failure.
Speaking of failures,
I was going to say, how have we never used this to refer? But before we move on, Steo, there's nothing you want to do with your movement action, I'm assuming? Take that as a no. Yeah,
been banned from the internet after that joke.
Yeah, did you have any mystical powers running, by the way, Anton? Did you have Blessed Shield or Holy Aura or anything like that?
No, and that was the bloody problem, because I rolled twice for Blessed Shield and failed both. And I really need to get that up and running, because otherwise I am mince. So
sure,
I'll have another go at that. Oh yay! I make it. Rolled an 11.
Okay, so that's your Blessed Shield. Is that Blessed Shield? Okay.
Yeah, and I think I'll probably include Alindra in like the sort of secondary effects from that as well, because that now includes someone else, gives them a D6 a D6 armor roll as well. So yeah,
Sounds good. Both of you bathed in the soft warmth of Prios light as the more cultists come howling from the back of the building. So you've got, and we've already used your movement action to move up onto the platform, haven't we? So
Yeah.
that's it. Onto the NPCs now. So as I said, the city guard are not entirely successful. A couple of them, I say, are down. You see Marvello stride across the line and kind of hack at the back of one of the cultists as they drive a blade under the shield of one of the city guard on the ground. Decamado is making his way along that platform to the left. A similarly trained sword saint to Arindar, fighting with an even lighter saber than Arindar uses, flicking his parrying dagger. Indeed, he has his cloak pulled off and wrapped around the fist as well, which he's using to flick in faces. And you see at least one of the crossbow wielding cultists go down with a cry as Decamado impales them on the end of his sword. Urfon's over on the right is a whirling cavalcade of destruction, limbs snicked off, bodies torn through, and cultists scattered to the wind as Urfon's sinks into his spinning dance of death and violence. Cullinan Furia is not much better, just to the right of your group. Several of the cultists are wailing and screaming and rolling on the ground, desperately trying to put out the flames. Cullinan has a grimly delighted expression on his face as he strides forward with another flick of his hand. Another cultist is ensnared in kind of rising vines that burst up from the ground and draw them, squealing into a prostrate position as thorns dig into their flesh. And the witches, you know what? I'd say they're actually standing back from most of it and weaving their mystical powers. You can hear a cry from further back on the platforms as a number of cultists who've just run out from the back seem to be blown back by some kind of gale of wind that slams internal doors and windows shut and sends bodies spilling off the platform and crashing into those baths on the left-hand side there. At least one figure dropping below the roiling yellow surface of an acid bath and giving out a piteous, soul-crushing scream as they start to dissolve in the foul fluid. I think that's enough description for the NPCs. Let's. Well, I'm also going to roll for extra cultists that might engage you this turn. And that is that. So there are another 2 additional cultists who burst from the back rooms and seem to be rushing towards you. So there will be another 2 more to engage this turn, and we'll start with Askarai.
Well, I know who Sam wants to shoot, but does Askarai, how obvious is it what this magic wielding cultist was doing?
Well, you know what? Give me a vigilant roll, and let's see if you noticed one of these cultists trying to weave some mysticism there.
Okay, I need a 15. I rolled an 18, so I fail.
Yeah, you didn't notice that one of them is up to mystical shenanigans.
Okay. In that case, I think I'm going to shoot at the one who is firing crossbow bolts at us, if he's not the one that's kind of been killed already by Decamado.
Yeah, sure. Go for it. And that's +1, as they all are.
Okay, I need a 16. I rolled a 19. Not great.
Another one?
Yeah, I'll try again. Hopefully my rolls get slightly better. I rolled a 15, which just about makes it.
Just about makes it. Give me that damage roll, please.
Okay, D10 +1. I rolled a 10. +1 is 11.
That is an 11. They do have armor. So they are still standing, but of course it's definitely over their pain threshold. So why don't you give me a do you want the extra attack, or do you want to knock them prone?
I think I'll take an extra attack since
Sure, go for it.
Okay, please. I rolled a 9, so I make it. And for damage, I rolled a 5.
Yeah, you can see them clutching at their throat as the first arrow strikes them there, and the second one takes them in the chest, and they kind of drop their crossbow slowly to one side and almost in confusion kind of reach up and touch where the arrows have impacted into their body and then topple forward onto the ground, dead before they hit the floor. No more crossbow bolts coming in from there towards you. Elindra, you now are still facing one wounded individual with Anton at your side, and you can see that the one who tried to inflict some kind of control over you is stood within a movement away from you, and within a further movement away are two others who seem to be running towards your group.
Okay, so I think I think buoyed up by the blessed shield and by the Templar training that had enabled her to resist that attack, I think she's going to have a moment of overwhelming faith, and she's going to shout Prios's name, disengage from the current combat, and go and charge the mystic.
Absolutely.
So,
well then, first thing is to roll defense, because they'll get a free attack when you disengage.
Yes.
But that's almost a good thing, because if you make it, you can do that strong thing on them, right?
I do make it, and it's a new turn, so I can do that strong thing. Yes.
Oh, that's cool. So yeah, that's a strong roll for you at +1.
That's a 20.
Oh, oh dear. Well, that's not a combat fumble, so we won't have a free attack from them, but that's a shame. But you do manage to kind of duck around them, and their weapon whistles near you, but you manage to I take it you're charging and attacking the
yeah, if I'm a movement away, then that's that's engaging a new enemy and then attacking the new enemy.
And because you're engaging, does that mean you get a free attack first, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got long on your
It does.
Go for that free attack then, please. A +1.
I rolled a 19. That's a fail.
Okay.
This would
Standard
have been
normal attack then?
Yep, this would have been the coolest turn. Oh my god, I rolled a 20.
Oh my word.
I deserve to end up in one of those vats.
It's gone from character-defining turn of combat into character-defining turn of combat, but that character is Anton.
Yeah. That's what happened. She screamed Prios, and it all went
as soon as just display your allegiance to Anton, and all bets are off.
Starting to think that there is no god.
Yeah.
If ever there's been proof that Prios is dead, this is it.
Prios.
The Knights of the Dying Sun might have a point, right?
No, but this isn't just like it has no effect. This is worshipping Prios seems to actively hurt the probability of your dice rolls.
Prios helps those who help themselves.
2 20s and a 19 in one turn. Like,
pretty good stuff. Well, that means that this cultist you I'm still waiting to describe your entire turn there, because it's just one sequence of things after another. But this cultist is going to get a free attack on you now. So give me a defense roll. A flat defense roll.
Okay, we passed that one. So that's something.
So you dodge past the cultist you're engaging and charge the mystic who tried to bend you to their control. You give 2 great wide swinging slashes, and it occurs to me that we didn't roll for backslash on either one of them.
Okay, so that's going to be.
Is that once a turn or with every strike?
When an attack misses.
Okay. Well then, here's what I'll say. Right, you did your long attack, and then you roll for the backswing, and that was the 20. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then they hit you, and now we're on your normal attack again.
Okay, fine.
So normal attack,
which is +1, right?
Correct.
Against them. I needed a 16. I got a 16.
Okay. And roll for damage, please.
Now this is the normal attack, so that is going to be D12 damage. 10.
Ooh, 10 damage. Well, that, my friend, is definitely over their pain threshold. Do you want another attack?
I don't think I get another attack. I fluffed the attack on engagement. That was my.
No. You get another attack for going over their pain threshold.
Oh, yes, of course.
Or you can knock them prone.
No, we'll do another attack.
Yeah.
Of course
Go
we
for
will. Hit and damage is 11.
Okay. So I'm going to describe this from the point of view of Anton. So Anton, you hear Elindra roar the name of the sun god, duck past to the one you are fighting, and charge over to the mystic, and just almost seemingly mindlessly thrash at them with the longsword. Just great swipes left and right, almost faster than your eyes can catch them. And after it is done, you definitely see the first few swings completely miss. And then after, there's 2 successful heaving swipes, and you can hear muffled cries from the individual and grunts from Elindra as the sword pulls through leather, through flesh, through bone, and that cultist falls to the floor in 3 separate pieces. They're severed at the hips and severed up through one arm and through the neck, so the parts of their body flop to the ground and spill innards all over the platform, slopping over the sides and down into the baths below. The cultists behind look a bit intimidated. There we go. It turned out to be a character-defining round after all. Who would have thought it?
That was a roller coaster.
It really was.
Asgard's also looking intimidated for it as well.
Sure. Yeah, because just that bend will could have worked, right? So Arindar, you are stood near the back, about halfway up the room, a bit halfway up the left-hand side of the room there. Can you give me a vigilant roll, please?
I can fail a vigilant roll for you. Let me try that.
That's the spirit.
I have a target of 5. Rolled a 17.
Okay, yeah, never mind. So there are no cultists terribly near you on this left-hand side. Decamado is dealing with the remnants of the crossbowmen up on the platform to your left. The closest cultists you can see are actually the ones up on the central platform who seem to have come out and be looking towards engaging Elindra and Anton up there. But otherwise, you can't see any cultists kind of coming out from the stairs ahead of you or the room just to the right of you up on the platform. So it's up to you what you want to do with that.
I think Aaron's plan was to try and try and cut ahead of these cultists and interrupt whatever is going on. The ritual. The question is, do I think it's going to be in the basement or the back rooms? And I think Aaron probably thinks that spooky rituals always happen in the basement. So I'm going to...
Spooky rituals certainly happened in the basement of Erox, the Dark's house.
And there was a spooky thing in the basement of the tent, because tents can have basements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
that tent had a basement for sure.
so I'm going to head for the stairs, I think.
Sure. Well, it'll take you 1 movement action to head there. And as you head there and round, and you can see that the basement below does look like it's lit, maybe by something dim, though, by candlelight maybe, or a dim torch. And you can see that you can hear nor see any signs of cultists coming up from it anymore.
Okay.
Are you going to proceed down into that basement?
Yes.
Okay. Let me have a look here. So, you know what? You're going to head down into that cellar, and when you initially head down expecting maybe some kind of horrific ceremony or something to unfurl in front of you, you are slightly disappointed to find yourself in a large underground, just general stone cellar held up by pillars with a number of doors, most of which are ajar around the sides of that room. And I think that will take you a movement action to get down there and kind of establish that. You can't hear anything. I don't mean there's some kind of supernatural muffling. I mean, all you can hear is the fight above. You can't hear like chanting or, the things you might be expecting for some kind of horrible supernatural ritual.
Right. Yeah.
So, with that in mind, it's time to go to the cultists. And one of them lost a turn last round. I realised that the one that Aaron abandoned, we didn't do anything with, but we will solve that immediately this turn. And I'd say they're going to go for either Steo or Ascarai. And it's going to be good old Steo, which is probably good news, because that means Steo immediately gets an attack on them for long. So why don't you give us an attack at +1, please?
So this is, given my Polar Mastery, I believe, is a reaction. I'm going to attempt to use my Keep Away on them.
Yeah, but that is if you succeed in hitting them, right?
Yes. So here we go.
You've got a pretty good chance of just killing them here. So.
I got them. Roll 13.
And what's the damage on that?
The damage on that is D10 plus 1, 3.
Okay. Unfortunately, did not kill them, but you have kept them away. So basically, as long as you keep hitting them, you keep them away, right? So yes, that's the idea behind it. They run too close to the range of your spear, take a sharp jab to the arm, and are kind of looking more wary and backing off with their sword as they fix you with a very frustrated stare. In other action, we have the other one fighting Steo, so let's deal with them now. So that's a flat attack, please, Steo.
Flat defense, surely.
Yeah. Their attack, your defense. Yeah, but yeah.
Failure 18.
Okay, armor roll, please.
Is a 4.
Okay. In that case, their dull hatchet slams against your plate armor and rebounds sharply, leaving you with no greater damage than an unpleasant noise in your ears. Next, we have the still one fighting Anton. So let's have that, please, Anton. Can you give me a defense roll, please? A flat defense roll.
That's a 20. That's a straight 20.
It's a 20. That I have this map up, so I can't get but fumble is a plus D4 damage, right? Like a fumble defense is a plus D4 damage, is that right? Yeah, so that'll just be a +2 damage to their hit. So do you want to roll your armor and your blessed shield, please?
4.
4. Okay, that's not too bad. The cultist facing you, clearly thinking that you're easier pickings than the maniac with the massive sword, whirls round on you and slashes out with a hatchet of their own, which carves slightly through the front of your robes and leaves you with kind of an unpleasant, stinging wound on your pectoral muscle. What pectoral muscles Anton has, anyway, which leaves you 2 toughness. And then we have the 2 new cultists. So, with that in mind, and I probably should have rolled Resolute for the Bend Will to see if they managed to get that off. It doesn't matter anyway because it didn't happen, but I should have rolled. There's that, and there's that. Clearly rattled by the horrible evisceration of their companion ahead of them. The 2 cultists both seem to be attempting to... the damage received is increased by 3 before armor is rolled. Sorry. So that's 3 toughness you took there, Anton. Sorry. Okay. So it must be a D6 that you get in addition if you're a player character. They both seem to be trying to marshal mystical powers, probably at Elindra, but both of them just fail miserably at kind of enacting their will into existence. So that's that. Steo, it's now your turn. So you have
one guy left, I think.
There was the guy you're keeping away who ran from Aaron, and the other one fighting you who just hit you. Hit you but didn't do any damage. So
That's my target for this turn then, seeing as I'm already engaged with him.
well, you're already engaged with both of them, really. But well, no, because he's not engaged with you. But when he, when he tries, didn't we resolve this last time? As like
when he tries to engage me, I'll have another opportunity to push him back.
Okay.
I know it sounds powerful, but it is a master level skill.
Yeah. No, I just get confused about it. It's fine.
Okay, so the one, the brand new one, who I haven't really done much work on yet, 15. So my accurate, okay, this is on the 9. My accurate is 15. I get a +1 from the combat, so my target number was 16. I get a -1 from elderly, so the target number is 15 again, but I get a +1 from accurate on the spear, which means I made it.
Okay. So, and sorry, who is this? Is this this is the one you're already engaged with, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
And the damage is 11.
11.
Nice.
Well, that is enough. So clearly thinking you'll be distracted by this new one charging in at you. The one you already engaged with dashes towards you. You manage a quick sweep at the back of their ankles with the butt of your spear, and then a very swift and precise and very effective, quick stab to their form on the ground, directly puncturing through their ribs and into their heart. You're fairly sure, but by the time you withdraw your spear a second later, they have already left this shadowed plane of existence. So that's them down, leaving you with just one attempting to get close to you.
So I do believe I have a movement action now, and the decision is, do I use that movement action to catch up with Alindra, or do I engage the other guy and get another attack on him because I'll be engaging him? Honestly, I think tactical's probably better, so I'm going to move myself up level with Alindra.
Okay, you can move away from the guy who's attempting to get to you behind you, and you can charge. You probably can't get to Alindra, but you can probably get flush with Anton at the base of at the very bottom edge of the platform. If I can gesture like around here, whereas Alindra is more up here.
Yeah, that sounds good. Catch up with the party, I suppose.
Absolutely, you can dash up those stairs. So Anton. Flailing?
I'll do a fight, yeah.
You'll do a fight. So that's an attack at +1, please.
I make it. Roll the 4. No, D10 damage. 9.
9. Nice. The individual fighting you, that cultist fighting you with the hatchet, there's a great thumping and rattling of the platform as you can see Steo kind of sort of hot with some speed, but also in plate armor and thumping along as the stairs rattle as the elderly infantryman charges up them. They whip their head round for a second to look at this individual joining the fight, and that's all the time you need, Anton. You step back to get a bit of distance, get another hand on that flail and whip it round as fast as you can. It slams straight into their face. They give a muttered burbling as if they're trying to say something, and then they stagger to the side and pitch over, not into the vat, but just crunching on the ground a good 10 or so feet below you. They do not get up. More souls for Prios. So, do you want to do anything with your movement action?
I'll just get right into the thick of it, which maybe, I guess, involves following Alindra up.
Catching Alindra up to around here. Okay. So we'll move to the NPCs now. The city guards seem to be getting back on their feet a little more. There's a few dead cultists scattered around them on the ground. Decamado has finished his procession along that left-hand side platform. All the several crossbowmen that were there lying dead or dying behind him. Urfons has completed his tour of the right-hand side, as has Furia. Actually, no, let's say Urfons has, and he's kind of rounding up onto the platform on the other side. Furia on the other side, on the other hand, is caught up with a group of cultists who are desperately trying to make their way through the mystical defenses he has erected in order to sink their blades into his body, but are having very little luck in doing so. There is some kind of conjured flame-like apparition by his side who is also swinging out at them with some kind of molten sword. Looks quite similar to the conjuration you saw up in what's the name of the town? In Fever of the Hunt. There was another one of these flaming servants, and you can. This one looks a little. At least this one's on your side this time. The witches and the novices are further back. You can hear sounds of conflict as a couple of the cultists have kind of broke through the line and dashed towards them. So you can just, none of you are really looking at that. So you can just kind of hear those sounds of conflict behind you. Yeah, and I think that's everyone, right? That's all your companions. So we're back round to the beginning of a round again. It's a big fight, but it's one of the climactic ones, so it's all right. Ascarai.
There's one nearby was fighting Aaron and then Steo.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a shot at that one, not the double shot, the armor.
The single shot. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so I have if I hit so I have a chance to move afterwards.
Yeah.
That's the reason. I rolled a 3, so that hits. And the damage is a 9, ignoring armor.
That is more than enough. You see that individual take a couple of paces forwards to try and run behind Steo up onto the platform. You knock and loose an arrow in short order. It sticks into his back, and that run behind Steo turns into a stagger, followed by a collapse into a mewling heap at the foot of the stairs. Where are you going with your movement action?
I'm going to sort of follow up the group, try and stay, I don't want to get to the front lines, but just to stay just behind Steo and Anton, I think, are moving forward.
Sure, absolutely. So, Elindra, you are faced with 2 cultists. Neither of them are engaged with you. Both of them seem to have been trying to weave some kind of mystical effect, but failed in the last round.
Okay. This has not worked at all in the campaign. I think this point, but I'm going to try Witch Sight as a free action.
Okay.
What I'm trying to do with it, I'm not really going for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking to you to tell me whether this is even possible. But I'm kind of looking at the location as a whole, and in particular, I'm looking to get a sense of direction of where the most shadowy thing,
where the bad shit is happening.
Yeah, where's the business end of this location?
Absolutely, you can absolutely do that. I'm assuming you have to roll Resolute to activate your Witch Sight.
It is it's a vigilant roll against discreet, and then that will cost me a point of temporary corruption.
Yeah, it's a vigilant roll against discreet if you're looking at a particular person, I think. But for the location, let's just say it's a flat vigilant roll.
Flat vigilant. Oh, I passed it.
There we go, and that means a point of temporary corruption, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So the entire tannery, as your eyes kind of sort of whenever you use Witch Sight, and you pick. I think using Witch Sight means either like focusing extra hard on something, or the opposite. You kind of almost let your vision relax and almost like blur into that overlay over everything. Which do you think it is for Elindra?
That's a good question. Like certainly for a location, it feels like a defocus, right? Like it feels like a kind of stepping back, sort of, out of
letting it wash over you and seeing the truth of the here. Yeah. Well, then you kind of unfocus your eyes slightly and almost try and kind of forget this cultist and this carnage happening around you. And you see that the very edges of the walls of the tannery, there is darkness seeping up around and through the very bones of this building. Awful things have happened here, and you get a deep feeling of cold and shadow washing up from somewhere below.
Okay. Fantastic. So I guess there is a cultist. What, one to the leftish? And
Yeah,
one to
let's
the
say one to the
rightish?
left and one to the right.
If
Does
there
which,
is-
is which site an action?
It's a free action.
A free action, cool.
So if that doesn't give me any sense other than down, I will pick one of the cultists at random. Let's say the one on the right.
The one on the right. Okay, and charge and hack.
Charge and hack. Yeah.
Give them the old charge and hack. So yeah, normal +1 defense.
Okay, so this is a normal +1 attack, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, their defense is +1,
Okay.
but yeah.
Is this the attack upon engaging?
Yeah, so this will be the long attack first. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's a successful attack, which does 3 damage.
Okay. And then the proper attack.
And also successful attack, which does 12 damage.
That's a lot better. So you charge into them and whirl your sword around. It leaves a slight graze upon their leg, and as they kind of step back and look down to do that, you strike out with an attack that in Ambria, as well as in the real world, is known as the boar's tooth. And anyone who knows it, you just slash across down, and as they look down, you whirl your blade around and bring it up both-handed, carving through the center of their skull, and leaving yourself and your blade spattered with chunks of brain, blood, and bone as they reel off to one side and collapse over the side of the platform. There we go. Aaron, you are down in a cellar. I'm going to remove the map now. Is everyone happy with me removing the map? Have we got a good sense of it? Because I need to check the other map.
Sure.
So, okay. So I think I described it fairly simply to you, but let me give you a bit more information. So yeah, there is a like a large open stone area in front of you. And oh no, yeah, okay. So there is something to describe to you here. So yeah, there's a large stone chamber that is supported by pillars. You can see 6 doors kind of spread around the room. It's not an entirely square one. There's like little passageways leading off to each side with different doors in them. And in the center of the chamber is a rather large stone podium. It's covered by a black blanket, which is embroidered with archaic symbols. And as you take a step closer to it, you can smell the waft of kind of some kind of rose-scented liquid that has been sprinkled over it. There is no sign of anything on it, although the blanket itself is kind of rucked and kind of shuffled in odd places, as if maybe at some point recently there has been a rather large something on it. It's flanked by 2 unlit braziers.
I think I will approach the podium and maybe, like, to make sure there's nothing underneath the blanket, drag it off with the point of my sword.
Sure. I think it's quite a heavy, thick blanket, so I think you can do that, but I feel like it deserves some kind of roll. Maybe just an accurate roll, honestly.
Okay. Any modifiers?
No.
That's a success.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of catch the blanket in the point of your blade and draw it quite slowly, but firmly off to one side. There is nothing beneath it but a stone podium, like a rough stone podium. Although, can you give me, please, a vigilant -5 roll?
Okay, so I need a 1 to succeed this. I do not get a 1 to succeed this.
Never mind then. I'd say you've taken your action for the turn. Do you want to take a movement action in any way?
Yes. And I might just pick a door at random.
Sure. Yeah. Let's roll a die and see how we do. Okay. The door you pick at random is to the left of the podium, and it is locked.
Okay.
So back above, we have the cultists are going to make one. The final cultist left, attempting to affect you in any way, is going to make one last bid for glory, and they are going to charge at. And I'd say there's probably two of you within range. It's probably a Lindra or Antom again. And let's roll for that. It's going to be Antom that they're going to charge at. And they are going to... first off, they're going to do that, which fails. Antom, you can sense that they're kind of muttering and glaring at you as they come close, perhaps giving you the evil eye you have heard so much about witches and cultists as practitioners of. But you feel no ill effect over you as they just run towards you and slash at you with a knife. Do you want to give me a defense roll, please? Flat defense roll. You don't need to roll to maintain Blessed Shield, do you? It's just there until the end of the scene.
That's active for the scene, and I rolled a 1 on that.
Well, then you get a free attack. Yeah, an attack at +1, please.
I failed that quite badly.
Sure, but not with a 20, I presume.
But not with the 20.
Not with a 20. That's fine then. Steo, you are definitely within charge range of this.
Sorry, hang on. Actually, I rolled an odd number there on that.
Yeah, you have a backhand thing with your flail as well, right?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that does work with the. It was odd numbers, and I rolled a 17, which is an odd number.
Cool.
So yeah, okay, that will give me a D6.
Yeah, because yours isn't. It's less damage, but it's automatic. You don't have to roll to attack or anything, do you?
Yeah.
So,
and I rolled a 3.
D6, 3 damage. Then you managed to catch the cultist a little along one arm. They wince, but you don't think you did much more than leave them with a light bruise. However, Steo is definitely within charge range of this final remaining cultist fighting your group.
I will. I'll attempt to dispatch this one.
Mm-hmm. So this is the long attack first.
Yep. So that's a 3, which is a success on the damage roll, and then that's 9. Roll damage.
So that reduces to that. Well, you've gone past their pain threshold, so why don't you give me another attack?
I think it's academic, but yes, I'll take the other attack. Is a critical. Oh God! Whoops.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, roll for damage for fun, but yeah.
That's 3, 4, 5, 6 in total.
Okay. From your perspective, Antom, you've kind of made them back off with a slam of your flail into the arm. They step away, and the next thing you know, you see Steo's large armored form just shoulder barge them away from you. And as they reel off, staggering to the side, with a single precise thrust, he transfixes them through one side of their ribs and out the other. They give a cry of pain. And as he rips the spear out, a lot of inner material comes with it. And they sink to the ground, softly moaning, and topple over to one side, scrabbling their feet slightly against the wooden platform floor. They're not getting up and fighting again. And with that, we can take the initiative banner away, please, John. What a big fight we just had. The remains of this cult lie bloodied and battered and all dead or nearly dead around the tannery. You can see that a couple of the city guard are propped up against a wall and are being attended by two of the novices. One of the other novices of Prios is lying near the door, ashen-faced and no longer breathing. The witches are kind of knelt by the side of this novice. They seem to be performing some kind of blessing over the body. You're not sure what, and to be frank, you're not entirely sure whether the novice would want that happening, but they're doing it nevertheless. Cullinan Furia is staggering over to the side of the platform and is leaning against it, kind of like smoke gently rising off his body and kind of slightly frazzled at the end of that mane of white hair, and kind of breathing very steadily as he just kind of leans against the platform with his eyes closed. Marvello and Decamado are watching over the attending to the wounded city guard, and Urfons kind of strides up further onto the platform and over towards Anton and Steo and Alindra, and it just kind of like gives one great swing of his silvery blade, which kind of splashes a huge spray of blood across the floor and the acid baths down below to clean it off, and looks up, kind of panting. Good fight.
Yeah. I think our business is downstairs. Shall we finish this?
It's always
Garen
downstairs.
disappeared off down there.
If Dar's down there, we better hurry.
Yep. Head for the stairs.
With that, the other people that they are attending to things. You and Urfons are the people who go down to that dark basement, and you see Dar stood there, kind of like just examining a crumpled black blanket on the ground that has those runes daubed on it and that odd rose sent to it, with a stone podium. You see nothing else, unless Anton, Ascarai, and Steo. I'm assuming everyone is going down the stairs. Is that not untoward? Can the three of you give me a vigilant -5 roll, please? But Elindra, on the other hand, can you? No, you don't need to make a roll. But you know what? Let's leave that in suspense for a second, and let's see how the others do with their vigilant rolls.
I just made it. I rolled a 7.
Ooh. Good old vigilant Ascarai to the rescue. The others gather kind of where Dar is standing. Ascarai, you notice something on the floor, an irregularity in the stone, the carved stone flags on the ground. It looks like scratches by the podium. You gonna kind of take a closer look?
Yeah, I'll definitely have a look, see if it's
Sure.
creature I might recognize or movement of something.
Absolutely. As for Elindra, you step down into the basement, maybe let's say a couple of steps behind the others. And as they move towards the podium, your companions seem to briefly melt away. And instead, you see the cellar in a different light, a much harsher light from the braziers, casting obscene shadows on the walls around, while murky figures stand and go about their awful business around the podium. On the podium itself sits a huge, green, slightly scaled ox head, or at least a beast that you would most closely associate with an ox. It has large, saucer-like, almost fish-like eyes. And as you kind of are taken momentarily aback by this, you are taken back further by the jaw just dropping open slightly and a soft lowing sound coming from it, as if it still lives. Could you give me a cunning roll, please?
Yeah, sure. Modifiers?
Nope, none.
That is a pass.
Okay, then you have further visions. But before we go into them, let's go back to Ascarai and those scratches on the floor. Ascarai, I mean, you don't think it's from a creature or anything. They're kind of a what would you call, like a quarter circle round, and they start at the podium and end kind of 90 degrees away from it. Something heavy swings around on the floor here.
I think Astra is going to be able to at least make an educated guess at this. It seems like maybe the podium moves somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Could be something underneath it. If we can push it this way, I'll indicate the way that it seems to have been moved in the past.
Sure. I'd say that maybe two people can try and shift the podium at once. So who is going to attempt that? It's going to be a strong roll.
I think Alindra's busy, so I'll help.
Yeah, and as I'm next to it, I'll also give it a push.
Sure. Why don't you both give me a strong roll then, please?
Pass.
Yeah,
Nice.
with a great heave, the podium creaks and there's a kind of grinding, warping sound as if the mechanism underneath it is old and very tired, and it eases over to one side. Below is a crudely cut space, not very large and not leading too far into the ground. Can you give me, Aaron and Steo, can you both give me a vigilant roll, please? Actually, scratch that. Sorry. Can you give me a quick roll? I think that's more appropriate.
That's a pass.
That's a pass, but Steo is not a pass. In that case, Steo, can you give me an armor roll, please? 1. Okay. Down below, as I say, is a kind of darkened little pit. You can only slightly see the sides of it, and as you peer down into it, momentarily you think there's nothing down there, and then it leaps out, hissing and flailing, and latches onto Steo and drives something sharp and metal into the side of Steo's neck, or at least kind of down through and into the flesh of your back. And you reel backwards and give a cry. And a moment later, you all realize it is a boy, maybe 12 or so years old, who has leapt on Steo and driven a small but sharp knife into kind of the flesh at the back of Steo's neck and upper back. Take 3 toughness there, Steo, please. What are we doing about this?
I think I get a free attack. No. I'm not killing the child today.
I'm gonna try.
It can probably be restrained fairly easily.
I'm gonna try and. I don't have good reputation for grappling with. I'm not gonna finish that sentence. I'm gonna try and grab the kid and pry it off Steo.
That's a strong roll at +4, please.
Okay. That's a fail.
Yeah, it's
The
thrashing
continues.
and kicking around far too fast for you to get a proper grip on it. Like, it's just driven the knife in and is leaving it there. It's not like fighting. So Anton, Ascarai, either of you, even Steo, Steo, if you want to restrain this kid, you can probably have a pop at it.
Yeah, I think I'll try and pick him off.
Sure. Strong +4.
That I'm pretty sure is a success. I rolled a 10. I had my target. My
what's your strong?
is 13. Yeah, so that's fine.
Oh yeah, well yeah. So your target will have been 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you pluck the kid off you. The knife is still kind of stuck in your back there, and you have the kid kind of like you rather than like pull the kid off. It's probably easy if you just wrench the kid round and just grip. You've got the kid there. They're flailing, but they're not getting anywhere. Certainly not managing to cause you another intense pain in the back. What are we doing as a group? The kid is still hissing and thrashing around. It's muttering and wailing something about the master.
It's not a kid that we recognize, though, right? No. Okay.
Stop fighting. We're not here to hurt you.
That is a persuasive and I can't believe the story sets this relatively mild challenge for this brainwashed, furious, murderous child, but it's a persuasive -1.
Okay. It's 50-50 chance. Which I pass.
Okay.
Thanks.
The kid kind of stops flailing for now and just fixes you with kind of quite, little glittering, furious eyes. And kind of like looks down at Steo's arm, clearly with the intent to maybe bite it, and then thinks better of the steel-clad vice-like grip around its neck. And on that note, let's go back to those visions, shall we? That Alindra is having. The world you were seeing with Eox's head on that stone podium blurs again, and just before it does, you almost feel the eyes of Eox rolling over in their skull and glancing impossibly towards where you are on the stairs, and then a rapid flash of images hit you. You feel as if you've been trying to be shown something. First, you see a sinkhole somewhere in Davokar, a place you've never seen or recognized in any way. You see a kind of a rambling, open field-like area with vines wrapped up around trees and a deep pit into the ground cracked open by some kind of cataclysm or earthquake. Next, you see a nighttime, soft, dark, still lake in a nighttime sort of landscape under a starless sky. Maybe it's overcast, or a storm is on the way, and it's just these very dark, quiet waves lapping at a shoreline near trees. And then finally you see the interior of a huge cave with moss-colored walls, and this moss is kind of dotted all around with dark crystal shapes that seem to be springing up out of the moss and sort of perhaps being fed by it somehow or existing symbiotically. These rapid images fill your head. None of the places you've ever been to or recognized or heard tell of in any way. And then you're back in the cellar.
Okay. I think Elindra's probably going to be disorientated for a moment. Yeah, so I guess the kid situation is under control when she finally gets her bearings.
Yeah, you kind of come to just as Arendar's got the kid to stop thrashing around.
I saw Eox there, and a sinkhole in the forest, and a lake at nighttime with a storm coming, and a cave where the crystals feed on the moss.
Fon's kind of he's like peering at the kid quite closely, and he glances up at you and says, "You saw all that just then?"
Where?
Where's for later? Where's the skull?
It's here. It was here. It will be here. I didn't get a sense of time. This is the place. Right.
We should check the other rooms. Or, kid, where's the skull?
The master has it. You'll all pay. The town will be his.
Where's the master?
He went with the others, the leaders. They've all gone, but it's too late. It's too late.
Gone where?
A soft, cultured voice from the stairs says, "Quite the little troublemaker. No skull." Decamado is stood there.
We think it was here. I'll glance over at Alindra, but no, just this little one. Can I have a look in the pit that the child jumped out of?
Yeah, it's just kind of dark stone and nothing else. Okay. There are some kind of scratches on the stone around, as if things or a thing of some size has been manhandled in and out of it multiple times.
Okay.
I think I'm going to start trying the doors.
Sure. So, as that happened, well, let's get what everyone else is doing. So Askarai's trying the doors. Aaron's just investigated down into the pit. Steo's busy holding this kid. Anton, Alindra, what might you two be doing?
I think Anton might be interested in sort of like doing any sort of like lore mastery stuff on like anything like the runes on the cloak that's on the floor, or like the platform itself, or anything like that.
Sure, absolutely. Why don't you give a cunning roll? And Alindra, what do you think you're doing at this point?
I think Alindra is deep in some combined religious / sorceress experience.
Sure. Do you think you might be pondering what those visions mean?
Yes, I think considering the visions, and then so I don't know to what extent. I mean, I assume this is the effect of witch sight still being active from upstairs.
It definitely, you feel like it was because of your witch sight ability. Yes.
Okay. So, yes, I guess I will think about this. And
sure. Well, then, you know what? In the absence of players blurting out the idea, why don't you give me a cunning roll?
Yeah. Let's do that.
And let's hop back to Anton while that's happening. And how did that cunning roll go for you, Anton?
I rolled a 19.
Yeah, you have no idea what these symbols are.
I'm not cunning enough for that to be a pass.
Yeah, you have no idea what those symbols are, and like it was a long shot anyway. They're not the kind of things you'd hope you would recognize, in a way. Ascarai, searching around these other doors to this cellar really doesn't take very long. 5 of the doors lead to what seem to be either storage rooms or kind of bunk rooms. And a very quick look, but not a thorough investigation, reveals very little of any interest. They're very mundane. The door that Aaron tried before is locked, and is also very large and very bulky.
Is it noticeably bigger and bulkier than the other doors?
Correct.
Okay. I might, once everyone's done what they're doing, try and call someone over who has a better chance of maybe breaking this door, or I guess if it's big and bulky, that might be an ask. But I would bring attention to the fact that it's the only door that might have something interesting behind it.
Sure. Alindra, how did that cunning roll go?
I also rolled a 19 for my cunning roll, which is a fail.
How many XP have you got? I will tell, as I always do, I will say this is a not insignificant roll.
Okay. We've got a few unspent. Let's spend one and go again, shall we? I mean, it's only 50-50. That's another fail. How far do we want to go?
Well, it was how far of a fail was it? Because I was going to give you a +1 there as you think more and more.
I needed a 10 and I rolled a 14, but I might can I go again, or is it like a one time?
I think doubling up on spending the XP is a bit rude.
Okay.
I think
at least in one round. We'll see how we'll see how we feel as the scene progresses. Sure. But there is another thing, and maybe this has distracted you from the thinking about the visions you have seen, Alindra, and that is as your companion starts searching around the cellar and looking into their individual things, you sense something else, and at first you think it's something. You still think you can maybe are picking up on this because of your witch sight, but you feel like it's another vision coming on at first or something like that. But no, very faintly and distantly at first, but then building slowly in clarity. You can sense rhythmic tremors in the air. At first, you feel maybe it's a distant drum, and then it feels more like blast waves caused by the beating of a powerful heart somewhere not very close, but not as far away as you might like either. And you can definitely sense this. And as you glance around, you see that no one else in this cellar can.
Okay. I guess there's no sense of direction on this thing. It's just a
No. There's just
presence
somewhere out there is this. Decamado has kind of glances over at you, Steo, and says, "It's definitely against any kind of city guard policy to extract information for a child, but via a light beating," and then turns his back.
Oh. Anton, would you kindly take this dagger out of the back?
Oh yeah,
Probably about time.
Yes, I will see to Steo's medical needs.
Now, listen, kid. Where did the leaders go?
The kid is just writhing and kind of trying to slap at you with its hands around the armor you're wearing. It definitely needs, at the very least, some more concerted persuasion. Decamado seems to think that giving the child a light thrashing would help, but honestly, you have no idea whether that would or not either. And also, there's a certain moral question over it. Well, utilitarianism.
Steo is not going to be beating up a child this evening.
No. And Alindra's busy.
Steo, put him down.
Yeah, okay, I'll release the kid.
The kid kind of scrabbles over to a corner and is just kind of like lurking in it, sort of looking around distrustingly at you all and kind of rocking slightly back and forth. We haven't had any kind. Well, Askarai, did you say you were trying to grab people's attention from this doorway?
I think I'd try and ask Alindra if she thought there was any chance she could get through this door somehow, whether that's hacking at it with the sword or just busting through it.
Yeah, so I think probably without sort of responding verbally, I think Alindra would kind of sleepwalk over there and just attempt to pound straight through it.
Sure. I think that's going to be a strong -4, please.
Strong -4. Success.
Okay. The lock of the door shatters against the stone facade it's embedded into. The door swings open. It's dark inside, but via some amount of light, you can see that there are a great many boxes and crates, most of which seem to store various Symbaric curios. Decamado kind of like leans round the shattered door and says, "Oh my! I suppose these have to be taken into custody."
I guess Alaba was an antique stealer, but it's not exactly what we were hoping to find. I don't know where they could have gone.
Everyone at this point, and feel free, like Anton, I don't know if you want to be doing medicus rolls on various people or anything like that.
I failed.
Okay. Bad luck, Theo, but you can do one on yourself, can't you, as well? So, a voice, a tremulous, clearly strained voice, calls out from above. Do you feel it? It has begun. We must hurry. Someone must hurry.
I go up the stairs.
I am going to approach the child, and I'm going to. We came straight from the forest, so I'm going to take some amount of field rations from my pocket, and offer it to the child, and say, "Are you hungry? What's your name? It's all right, child. We aren't here to hurt you."
Can you give me another persuasive roll at -1, please?
That's a pass.
The kid kind of snatches some of the rations out of your hand and greedily gnaws on them, saying, "Don't have no name. Didn't need a name."
Have you never had a name?
Had one once. Up above, Alindra, you sounded like you kind of dashed above quite quickly at the knowledge that someone else could sense something happening, right?
Yeah, a room full of claimable Symbaric treasure, enormous heartbeat infusing the
Sure.
world.
Yeah.
I think that's where she's at. Yeah.
Yeah. You stagger up the stairs. You can see people still being tended over near the entrance to the building, but stood kind of near the stairs, but not going down them, is Cullinan Furia. And let's have his picture up again, lent against the wall, looking very strained. You can see that parts of his parts of his flesh and his face have kind of odd blotches on them, and there are dark streaks running through his eyes. He is clearly focusing very hard to keep something down within himself. I mean, you are a former Templar. He clearly is feeling the effects of a great deal of corruption running through himself, presumably from the mystical powers and the exertion of the battle. He leans against the wall and kind of looks at you and says, You feel it, Templar?
I feel it.
It has begun. Run. This ritual must be stopped.
Where?
What was down there?
What was down there? Nothing. Treasure. A god. A sinkhole. A lake. A cavern. I don't know.
You saw these things?
Yes.
You were... This is what happens when you run away from your training, girl. A hole, a lake, a crystal. It was telling you where it is. You know where that is.
A hole, a lake, a crystal. Okay.
I would urge haste.
Okay. I'm gonna leave the tannery.
Are you not getting your companions?
I mean, I don't know. What are they doing?
Well, they're down. They're still down in the cellar.
I mean, Linda's having a moment. Like, she's heading to the sinkhole.
Sure. Yeah. In that case, you rush through the ground floor of the tannery, and the city guard are occupied with healing their own. The novices are now kind of looking very askance at the witches who are lurking over to one side. The novices are kind of like wrapping the body of their companion in their own robes. And tucking them aside, and everyone kind of watches as you dash out of the front of the tannery, but no one goes to stop you as you burst out into the pouring rain of Thistlehold. Down below in the cellar, you hear Furia's voice saying, "I think your Templar friend is going to do something rash.
Oh, Prios's
Prios.
tits. I'll fly up the stairs.
Yeah, I will follow.
The visions were a roadmap. A hole, a lake, a crystal. She is going there now. I suggest you join her.
Okay, Cursed Underground Island. Let's go.
Again, Furia seems in no shape to accompany you. As do the city guard are bloody and battered. Even Decamado and Marvello is having a wound on his shoulder treated. The witches seem as badly worn through with corruption as Furia was. The novices look honestly shell-shocked and busy caring for their dead companion. In fact, let's say that Decamado does run after you. I'm assuming at this point everyone is just going, like no time for any particular.
I'm going to, as I'm passing either Marvello or Decamado, I'll say, "Gonna need to form up on the sinkhole as soon as possible," and just not even waiting for acknowledgement, just barreling past.
Marvello, kind of like somewhat pale in the face from looking. He's like looking at this shoulder wound being sewn up by another one of the city guard, and he nods at you. Decamado shouts, I'm behind you, but I'll send word back."
Thank you, sir.
Urfons is keeping pace with you, though. There's no way you'd be able to dissuade Urfons from joining you on this. Aaron, go for it.
As we are leaving, I say to the novices, there is a child in the basement. I think he may require the church's charity. He is bitey, but innocent.
The novices kind of like look down at their dead companion and go, "Oh, very well," and kind of stand up to go off. As they do, they keep kind of looking back, and that one of the witches, is it Gadramon, is the one you've dealt with, I think, steps forward and indicates the body on the floor and says, "We will watch over," in quite broken Ambrian. The novices kind of look a bit taken aback at being addressed like this, and then just kind of nod and dash off to the basement. Steo and Tomascara, is there anything else you're doing kind of on your way out?
No, just sprinting.
Okay. As you burst out of the tannery, I think you can see at the very far end of the street, you can see Alindra kind of running towards the sinkhole. But you all know the direction towards that, and it's not very far from where you are. And as you exit the tannery, I'd say that everyone who is not Alindra can roll vigilant, please.
I made it.
I make it.
I do not make it.
Everyone who makes it, at first you think it's the pounding of your own feet or the drum roll of the storm in rain and thunder before you start to hear it on the very edges at first and then swelling. That sound reminiscent of the slow but gently accelerating beating of a heart. Clearly, perhaps this is what Alindra was talking about. Alindra, now it's kind of overwhelming in your ears, kind of thrumming through your body with every steady beat as you dash around through the dark cobbled pathways of Thistlehold and emerge out sort of into the larger square of the sinkhole. You can see a scattered number of city guard around the sinkhole. They seem to be struggling physically and socially a little bit with a number of individuals who they are kind of attacking them, but not in any kind of orchestrated way. They just honestly look like random passers-by. They look like you might see drunks wandering along, accosting people or pushing them or shouting at them. But why there would be drunks around the sinkhole at this time of night in this weather, you have absolutely no idea.
Okay. I mean, heading towards it, I guess. How far? How close are the rest of them to having sort of caught up?
I'd say if you slow down on entering into this square around the sinkhole, I think they emerge behind you at a pretty good pace.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, Mike, this is a separate scene.
Okay.
So you can get rid of corruption and so on and so forth.
Yeah. I think Elindra, that probably at some point on the way to the sinkhole would have realised that like she doesn't know how to operate the ropes on her own, and that going down the sinkhole on her own isn't a good idea, and that like probably there should be other people, so she might kind of have pause and slow down.
So there are, as you all head into this area now, are any of you kind of accosting or kind of yelling out at Elindra in any way as she's still slightly ahead of you?
No, I don't think so. I might be kind of, as I'm running, trying to pull a rope or something out of my pack. I'm not sure if ropes were left dangling.
Well, yeah, you'll have to get a bit closer than that to find out. Here's a question for those of you who maintain character lists, because he's randomly missing off mine. What is the name of Steo's old guard friend?
Dirac.
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 I think it's swapped between Dirac and Dirac, but
I think I pronounce him Dirac. I think, yeah. You can see that Dirac is the sergeant who's been left in charge of the very small detachment of guard here who are struggling with these seemingly maybe drunken people. As you all stride closer to the sinkhole, you can hear him over the sound of the rain and the rolling thunder, kind of shouting, "Get the fuck back! What's wrong with you? That one, get that one!" There's an individual who's kind of dashing for the group, almost kind of snarling and growling and scrabbling at them with his fists. One of the city guards steps forward and she just knocks him to the ground with a thrust of her shield. But clearly something is getting into people. And as you get closer to where Dirac is, the sound of the heartbeats grows even louder and is made physically manifest. The sound waves start emitting a faint, etheric, bright blue light, like waves from a stone thrown in water, but in spheres instead of rings around you, popping in the air. As the surges of these wash over you, can you all give me a resolute roll, please?
Make it.
Yeah, pass.
Anyone who fails that feels an instant nausea wash over them, and there are flashes at the front of their mind of your darkest thoughts, your most murderous impulses, the times in which you have felt vindicated or right in taking a life. You don't feel any of that control you, but it does come to the forefront, and feel free to role play appropriately. You're not one of these odd, violent individuals randomly swinging at the guards, though, yet. So who was it? Steo failed. Anyone else?
I failed.
Okay.
So once I kind of recognize that Dirac's kind of giving orders, and I eventually I'll clock him, not spot him and kind of get his attention. Remember how I said there's trouble coming, Dirac?
What the fuck? Why is it always the rest of his yell at you is drowned out by a huge clap of thunder that rolls over, but you get the idea. What is it?
We need to get down the hole. Marvello's sending relief for you. These guys, just fucking kill them. We don't have time.
Kill them.
what?
We'll knock them down first. Ugh. What the roasting Prius shit is that feeling? What's that sound?
Trouble from the hole.
Can you... No, I think it's fine because it's you and it's Dirac. He turns round. Lower the ropes for them. Knock these bastards down and form a line. He cracks his. He usually wields a kind of like iron-plated club against his shield, and the few city guard there's only maybe 4 or 5 of them, kind of form what line they can and just are pushing back these randomly violent passers-by. You can hear, even over the storm, kind of doors banging and cries rolling out over the nearby streets as something. The closest comparison Steo, is what an impending riot sounds like. Two of the city guard dash away from their line, untether the ropes from that are still pinned at the sides of the sinkhole, and throw them down into the very, very dark, or yawning abyss at the center of the square. Give you glances that are kind of much rather you than them, and dash back to helping Dirac with the growing group of individuals who seem intent on just laying into anyone around them as much as they can.
We're still basically equipped for Davakar at this point, right? Like we've got all of our
you haven't dropped anything off,
adventuring
so
shit
yeah,
with
you can
us.
have torches and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Did Farron follow from the tannery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can Farron abseil?
I'll sling him over my shoulders.
Okay.
You're not sure you can do that.
I can try.
You can try. You don't do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm just running for the nearest rope and gonna try and get down it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think I
Can
might
I just
cast
say that
Blessed-
freeze of Chris is terrifying. Legitimately terrifying.
Yep.
I hope we don't find out later that he's dead. And that's how he passed. So I'll actually lurk a minute to see if he comes back too, because we are wrapping up here.
It got real dark then.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everyone, especially Chris.
While we're waiting for Chris, can I try and cast Blessed Shield in advance?
Yeah, absolutely, go for it.
Might before us. Oh, that's a 20. That's a 20.
That's a 20.
It backfires and you burn yourself.
Oh, he's gone. He's all gone. All right. Well, he might not. For all we know, he might not. Oh no, there he is. There he is. There's the boy himself. So you all clamber onto these ropes, slick with rain and mud and gravel dripping down from the edge of the sinkhole, and start clambering your way down the scree, down the sides of the pit that you've been up and down a couple of times already. It's very difficult, more difficult than it was before, with this deluge pouring down the edges of the sinkhole. I think it was raining the first time you came down here, but nothing like this at all. And as you feel, none of you can probably kind of see the bottom, but just feel it with your dangling feet when you reach it, and slip and slide slightly on that as you turn around and look into the depths of the cavern beneath Thistlehold. And ahead of you, you see you are not alone down here. Further into the depths of the cavern, on the way towards the Dark Lake and the Crystal Island, there are torches lit and flickering in the shadow and against the lee of the storm, casting soft orange light. And a bit further back in that, standing in a row, are 4 shadowy figures standing there, looking at where you've come down to the sinkhole, looking and waiting for you. And I think we will end our penultimate session there. Thank you ever so much for watching and or playing in the case of these 5 reprobates. And let's get some comments and questions going in the chat that we will answer. But first, promo time. So down below, there's a bunch of links. There is Twitch and YouTube. Watch this on one. Please check out the other, particularly our well, particularly both of them. But our YouTube, if you're interested, has lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of roleplay videos that you can go check out. We also have links to our social media, our Patreon, our Discord. Our Discord has a nice little thriving community on it. Please do join us on there. We also run 2 weekly shows. There's this on Wednesdays and Shadows of Estron on Mondays. They both take place at 8 p.m. BST. We also run monthly one-shots, the most recent of which was Tales from the Loop, which is very good. It's all on YouTube now if you want to check that out. The next one is a Call of Cthulhu in space, sci-fi-ish mashup thing that Johnny's going to run on, as I said, Easter weekend, I believe, which specifically I think on the 16th of April. But don't quote me on that. I'm sure it'll come up on our schedule soon. I think that's everything. That's on my promo. That's on my promo. Yeah. Let's get questions and comments all up in here, John. Johnny, this is now an Antom Stan account. Well, someone's got to do it.
I really wouldn't advise that course of action.
John says that he bets Antom's shredded under that robe.
I mean, from all the damage, maybe.
I heard he's got a 10-pack. Sure. He's, yeah. I was trying to think of a man of the cloth kind of hench pun, but I couldn't come up with anything. I'm sorry, everyone.
No.
I'll lay you down. Sam still can't believe we brought the cat.
That's true.
I think the cat's perched at the top of the rope. Just
this was like to the cultist fight. I'm like, why have we brought a tiny cat?
Didn't really narrate the cat, did I? But the cat got up to some biting. I think Fern's just down one and is having a nice snack off to the side. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just gnawing on an innocent thistlehold passerby corrupted by this ritual.
I'm just trying to picture even just a house cat, right? Like taking it out into the pouring rain and a thunderstorm and attempting to abseil into a sinkhole with it.
Yeah. Let alone something that's like the size of,
maybe other people have much more passive cats, but mine
a medium-sized
stand
dog
for that. Yeah.
1.5 lambs.
1.5 lambs, sure, or maybe 3/4 of a tapir. Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
I'm also now concerned. Like, this is a cat we know is going to grow up to be like a large, dangerous.
Yeah, they're like
creature.
cougar, puma sized,
and we've immediately given it a taste for human flesh as like our first action of owning this pet.
That was not our first action. Our first action was giving it a taste of potentially slightly hallucinogenic magical mushrooms that cost ridiculous amounts of money.
So you've turned it into a drug-fueled man killer, in other words. So,
I've turned it into an upstanding member of the aristocracy, I'll have you know.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing. So, yeah, take that.
Biting commentary.
Yeah, Lowin, good to see you. Would Prios give his shield to Alindra if she had her sword activated? That's a good point. Good point.
I did think it was quite funny when Alindra was thinking about it, like, I'm going to kill all these cultists with my sorcerous evil sword ability. That's much better.
Hypocrisy.
I like when the big mage just like immediately clocked what was going on with Alindra and was just like, I've got your number.
Yeah. Steve, a taste for expensive truffles and long pig. Yeah.
God, I was cursed.
I was originally waiting for the inevitable moment when the cat was killed off for maximum emotional impact. And now I'm kind of looking forward to it surviving as an NPC ally that gets into all kinds of scrapes and hijinks, by which I mean just like randomly murdering.
Sure. That definitely feels like the tack I'll take not to hammer home the horrible trauma of brainwashing a young child. Definitely doesn't sound like the kind of thing I'd enjoy working into one of our traumatizing adventures.
What's the name
I sadly think the destination of that kid is down below the Sun Temple.
Yeah.
But with the hope that all of them below the Sun Temple, the idea the idea, at least, is that they will be rehabilitated.
Yeah, I thought that's
we
literally
go,
what
Steve,
Aaron was asking them to do.
Send him to the church dungeons. Yeah, I think that's probably where that kid is ending up. But hey,
I mean,
if you're going to be attempted to be rehabilitated by anyone, you want it to be a living saint, right? So, yeah.
I mean, you could just put him in an orphanage and give him a lot of therapy. Therapy exists in Ambria, right?
If therapy existed in Ambria, the 5 of you would not be doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
Does therapy exist in any TTRPG? Just be honest.
Like, Steo is a walking instructional leaflet on PTSD. Arindar is a classic case of overcompensation for kind of the death of parents and the elimination of his line. Askarai is a bitter loner, driven to do what he does by the sense that he exists for some purpose that he doesn't know what it is. Elindra is just like again a kind of bitter reject from the place that she was meant to, learn and develop and become like a person she had ideals that have now been shattered and washed away by something she had no control over whatsoever. And Anton had his cloak stolen.
He got kicked in the nuts by a goblin.
He's been kicked in the nuts by a goblin. He was meant to get a promotion, and then someone stole it off him.
Man, that's real
and
trauma.
Also, he rolls for absolute shit. And Anton himself isn't aware of that, but he must be aware of that failure on a cosmic level.
I think in Anton's head it's like a cascading thing, right? First the cloak, then getting looked over for that promotion, and now bad luck wherever he goes.
Yeah, Keller did steal his cloak somehow as a reference to the stealing of the cloaks in the prologue, right?
I think
I don't think Anton was in the prologue.
No, he wasn't in the prologue, but I thought, wasn't there something I threw in like Keller had the cloaks when you arrived, and that's why you didn't have a cloak? It was something like that. Maybe I did, and maybe I didn't.
There was a thing that Keller stole his room, which is why Anton had to stay at the Witch and Familiar, because Keller took the only.
It was a really funny line. I just didn't know if it was an accurate one, and I wanted to establish it. But yeah,
if Keller was around while we were feeling the effects of this heartbeat thing, he'd be a gunner for sure. No chance.
Yeah, Anton would have gnawed his throat out with his teeth.
His throat.
I'm still trying to imagine how different Ambria would be if there was therapy, right? Because like if you wanted to get rich, you absolutely wouldn't get a party together and venture into Davakar.
No, let's go into the murder trees. Like
you'd set up a clinic, right? And just rake it in.
Absolutely rake it in. Steve, even Call of Cthulhu has therapy. But no, not for the poor folk of Ambria. Have we got anything else in there, John?
Yeah.
Over. Tune in next time for the spin-off series, 2 Priests and a Bitey Kid. Coming to a one-shot slot near you. That'll be the other one. The other one, we've had Fetters of Stone, the harrowing, dark fantasy adventure, and next we'll have 2 Priests and a Bitey Kid, which is a road buddy comedy. Time Dance. Reference to Cincinnati Chronicles, but I don't know why.
It was when Elindra was getting the visions.
The visions, sure. Yeah.
I got a bit of a feel, a bit of a Time 3 feel to it.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. There we go, folks. Thanks so much for your comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my wonderful players here for playing. And we will see you next week for what will definitely be the climactic episode of Wrath of the Warden. It's all coming to an end next week, folks. Maybe metaphorically, maybe not. Let's I don't know where I was going with that, but let's see you then. See you in a week's time. And until then, take care and stay safe out there. Goodbye.